Welcome back. Former singer and songwriter Tanil "Tada" Burrows recently announced that she will be placing her name in the hat once again as an independent political candidate in the Elizabeth constituency. However, during her recent announcement, she was heckled by what seemed to be supporters of the current Member of Parliament, Jcn Davis, who spoke about the heckling incident as well. We hear more in this next report by Cale Campbell.
Like I said, she's a nice young lady.
I'm not a young lady, first of all, and I'm not nice. I'm a warrior.
That's fine.
Thanks for coming out.
So you could find somewhere else to go.
Anything else to say?
Well, I mean, I can't predict what people do in their own free time. I wish her all the best.
That was Member of Parliament for Elizabeth Estates, Jcn Davis, in response to hearing that some residents of her constituency and supporters of the Progressive Liberal Party attempted to heckle prominent activist turned politician Tanil Burrows as she announced her campaign to represent the Elizabeth Estates constituency as its MP in the 2026 general election. Ms. Burrows, the president of local NGO Rise Bahamas, spoke to the press concerning how her activism would contribute to her political campaign.
But I feel like the hearts and the minds of the people are ready now to join in with us, advocates, activists who've been fighting for child protection, equality, justice, and rule of law in the Bahamas for at least over a decade. And this decision was essentially based on the fact that I've seen a spate of child sexual abuse in particular cases. I'm a survivor. At the age of 5 years old, I was molested by someone, and it was a life sentence for me. And so from that point on, I swore and prayed and dedicated in the back of my mind that I will always remember what happened to me, and I would do my best to ensure that it didn't happen to any other child. And my demand of the Bahamas government right now is to ensure that we have things in place to prevent child abuse.
This is not the first time Ms. Burrows has attempted to run for political office. Some may recall back in 2017, she also ran in the general election. Despite the attempts at detraction, Ms. Burrows pushed through to communicate her gripes with the two-party system and her disillusionment of it, inspiring her to run.
I said, if I see a change until I become an adult at 18, I'll see which party I would go with. I never saw that change to the extent that I thought it should have been, so I decided I would never vote PLP or F&M until 2012 when I voted for Leslie Miller. And a couple of years after that, he made those comments about beating a woman in Parliament. And that was the beginning of my forefront activism in terms of prevention of violence against women and children. We stood our ground. We sent in suggestions to the Prime Minister as to how the government should have responded to that incident. And it carries us now to the day advocating for Bella's bill, advocating for Marco's law for almost the past decade, and demanding that the government now implement mandatory minimum sentences for all perpetrators of crimes against children.
She pushes for more independent campaigns in the general elections, stating that the two-party system has been ineffective since its implementation.
I don't care what color you are, or if you're colorless, or if you're mixed race. Politically speaking, at the end of the day, we need candidates who will present themselves that are not going to be rapists. We need candidates that are not going to be corrupt and stealing money or bribing people. We need candidates that are upstanding and stand for equality and justice for all. I will lead the way, and I encourage other people, if you feel you are capable, put yourself forward as an independent candidate. This two-party system needs to come down.
In wake of the news of the Elizabeth Estates hopeful MP potentially being heckled by rival campaigners, Free National Movement Chairman Jcn, who also ran as MP for Elizabeth Estates in 2017 and 2021, condemned the, quote, agents of the current MP and their, quote, crass and boorish behavior. As he spoke of the mutual respectful interactions he said to have had with Ms. Burrows, he called for current Elizabeth Estates MP Jcn Davis to rebuke and disavow the hecklers while issuing an apology towards Ms. Burrows. For Jcn News, I'm Cale Campbell.
Thanks for that report, Cale. In his capacity as chairman of the Progressive Liberal Party, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Public Service Fred Mitchell was critical of the Bahamas telecommunications company BTC following a weekend trip to a number of family islands in the northern Bahamas. He says BTC is failing to deliver reliable data and cellular services to vast sections of Andros in particular.
I've been speaking over the past week about the execution of public policy and why it is that we don't get things done. It appears the key case right now is getting things not done is the failure of BTC to restore the data and telephone service to many major parts of Mangrove Key and Andros. BTC promised IRCA after some calls went out and the service has been out for 3 weeks, that the problem would have been solved by Wednesday of last week. Despite promises, they have not done anything, and the service is still down.
Mr. Mitchell went even further as to accuse BTC of not caring. He believes the sale of BTC by the Ingram administration has not been in the best interest of Bahamian people.
Some are arguing that BTC appears to take the position that they will accept the fines by IRCA for their defaults rather than invest in equipment and fix the poor service that they give. In short, it's cheaper to do nothing, and then when they've exhausted all they can get out of selling cell phones, they pack up the company and leave us to hold the bag. It is clear that BTC and its sale was a major mistake by the F&M.
Attempts to get a reaction from BTC on Mr. Mitchell's comments were not successful. Meanwhile, Mr. Mitchell then turned his attention to the Bahamas Power and Light and the F&M's management of the power giant.
My political aide called me also from the pay bill hall of BPL because people there were in a rage because the power bills are twice what they used to be per month. BPL can't seem to keep the power on and no end in sight. You know, Paul Maynard, the former trade unionist of BPL, used to say that if we did not in the PLP reveal the full level of negligence by the F&M that caused today's BPL's problems, people would start blaming us. I agree that the degree of F&M negligence was shocking and is shocking.
Meanwhile, the official opposition places the current struggles at Bahamas Power and Light and the high cost of electricity squarely on the shoulders of the Davis administration, who they accuse of failing to execute the fuel hedge strategy left in place by the Minnis administration. And finally, competition in Day 6 at the IAAF World Track and Field Championships in Budapest, Hungary is in the books. For the Bahamas, Devin Charlton competed in the finals of the women's 100-meter hurdles and just missed out on winning the bronze medal, finishing 4th in 12.52 seconds, just 0.06 of a second behind American Kenny Harrison, who took the bronze medal. You're looking at video of that race that took place around 3:22 p.m. local time today. Jamaica's Danielle Williamson took the gold in 12.43 seconds, while Jasmine Camacho Quinn of Puerto Rico was second in 12.43. Earlier in the evening session at 1:45 p.m. local time today, Anthony Strawn competed in the semifinals of the women's 200 meters. You're also looking at video from that race as well. Running in heat number 2, lane number 7, she finished 3rd in the heat in 22.30 seconds, enough to advance to the finals as one of the provisional qualifiers. The finals of the women's 200 meters will be run on Friday at 3:40 p.m. local time. Anthony will be in that final, and she will be the last athlete to compete for the Bahamas 11-member team and the Bahamas' final hope for a medal at these games. The Bahamas is known for its relay prowess, but we will not have any relay teams competing at these World Championships. That'll do it for your JCN Evening News. Once again, I'm Jarino Saunders. Thank you so much for joining us.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.